Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm doing something a little bit different than the norm on my channel. Usually I do like a full-on research video or have a script to read off with my reviews, but this is a quick vid, so I'm gonna keep it to bullet points. So I'm gonna sound a bit different and be probably a lot more stupid.
Perfect.
But I got some real life stuff going on this week, so I figured that this would be better than nothing. All right, to the point. Toy Story 4. So it's been about 9 years since Toy Story 3, which is like a huge reality check. I mean, I thought it was like 2-3 years ago, but nope, I'm just getting old. And I thought that Toy Story 3 was a fantastic conclusion for the trilogy. Like, what else could you want? We got closure, we got Andy moving on, we got Woody and his friends with a new kid. It just felt complete to me. So when I found out that they were doing Toy Story 4, I was concerned. How can you outdo this? How can you come close to the same level of power and emotion and just storytelling with Toy Story 3? It felt like it was the end for the franchise, but I guess not. But that being said, it seemed that Pixar was really forward with doing this. I read a bunch of like interviews about how they're like, no, we have a story to tell. We know we can deliver on this. But I was still skeptical. So I saw it today, and here are my thoughts. First off, beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. Pixar has just been doing amazing work on the visual front, like with Coco and especially The Good Dinosaur. I know that movie wasn't so great, like story-wise, it was kind of boring, but if you've seen the credit sequence, you see these mountains and grass and rivers that look almost real. Like, I thought that they were legitimate camera shots of real-life places at first. So Pixar is doing good work on that front. They keep pushing the medium. You see textures on the character's skin, which is like, varies from plastic to porcelain, to like plush and fur, and they do, it just looks so real, and you can tell that they do their homework with the setting and the backgrounds and just kind of immersing you in this universe. And to compare it to like Toy Story 1, which was pretty simple, I mean groundbreaking but simple, like that stupid little, not stupid, but that little doll head on the metal like spider, which freaked me out as a kid, by the way. When you compare that to what they have in this movie, it's night and day, which really is a testament to Pixar and how far they've progressed and continue to progress. Because they're able to still maintain the cartoony nature of Woody and Buzz and Rex and the other toys, but still like keep the setting growing in its beauty and textures and visuals. And that's just great. Pixar is great at that. You keep impressing me. There's like a cat in the movie that looked real. I mean, there's a certain point where like your brain picks up that it's not real, like, because you know it's not. But like the first shot, when I saw it, I was like, wow, this looks like a real animal. So kudos to Pixar. Visually, a fantastic movie, no doubt.
We have to find them.
What do we do, Buzz?
What would Woody do?
Jump out of a moving vehicle?
Let's go!
So the story, something that Pixar is all about, is taking their characters in their comfort zone and then just throwing them right out of it. Like, how can we make this character uncomfortable? And that's how they do their stories. Whether it's Wall-E being taken away from his planet, or Ratatouille. That's not the character's name, it's not Ratatouille. What's his name? Remy being thrown into a kitchen. You see how these characters are pulled out of their comfort zone, and that's the main like catalyst for storytelling for Pixar. Everybody else is like, yeah, I read the book too. So the here we have, and this is a synopsis, not spoilers. I'll give you all a warning when I get to spoilers. Here we have Woody, who is like in this new season of his life. And you know what? Spoilers, I'm hitting spoilers. Just be careful, guys. If don't listen any further if you want to avoid spoilers, because I'll probably say something. So we have this season of life for Woody, where he's now Bonnie's toy. And that's the little girl who was gifted Andy's toys in Toy Story 3. So Buzz and Woody have a new kid. And you see Woody adjusting to this life. and he's not the number one toy. He's kind of thrown to the side, and that's a bit of a shocker and something for him to get used to. You see him kind of like, it's a transition for him, where he's still like trying to run the place, but not obnoxiously, because Woody was obnoxious as hell in Toy Story 1, but he's really come around. And you've got this Forky character who makes onto the scene. Because when I was going to this movie, I thought that this would be a film about like what constitutes sentience for a toy, what makes them alive. Because you kind of shelf that disbelief when you go into Pixar or any other animated movies like Cars. Cars doesn't make a lick of sense at all, no matter how much you explain it. It doesn't make sense. Why is there a steering wheel? For the human? Airbags? Do airbags exist? Who knows? But for Toy Story, there's this code of you drop down when you see a human, or you should at least. I know that some of the toys broke that with Sid, but usually they faint. I guess the code throughout the trilogy is like, you are a toy. You are there for the kid. Your purpose in this life is to keep the kid happy, and it fulfills you in a way that you will never find anywhere else. And Woody is starting to come to terms that like, well, is there more to life for him than just being a kid's toy? And you see him on the fence with that, because he runs into Bo Peep. You see that she survived years later. She's a toy of her own, one of the quote-unquote lost toys, who doesn't have a kid, but still lives for herself. So you got Woody is kind of torn between being his duty of being a toy for Bonnie, or for him living for himself. And I thought this movie would be a bit more about like the existential dread of what is existence, what is being alive, what's the purpose of your life. And they didn't really get too deep into that. There are some jokes, they hint at it, but never to the point where it crosses into the realm of like philosophy. There is a point though, at the end of the credits where Forky meets a girl Forky, Knifey, I guess. And she's like, how am I alive? And you just have Forky go, I don't know. And I think that's hilarious. It's almost like why do you exist? What makes you alive? Why are you a fork and some googly eyes and some, string or whatever? Why are you alive? What makes you alive and not alive? They didn't get too far into that. They hint at it, but not too much. What the main movie is about, it almost feels like it's about being a parent and raising your kids. And you've done your job of raising your kids, and now it's time for you to move on in life. That's at least the vibe I got. So Woody, who's been a toy who is like his duty is to Andy and always has been. Now he's without Andy and he has Bonnie, but he's kind of having a hard time transitioning into a new life. Like, do you just move on? Do you live for yourself? So that's the conflict here. And in that regard, it was a good story. Seeing Woody realize that it's time for him to live for himself. At least, again, that's what I got out of the movie. It's not that, because spoiler alert, spoilers, he breaks off from Bonnie and the other toys at the end. He moves on, he stays with Bo Peep, and he basically says farewell to the other toys, which I thought that would be a bit more of an emotional moment. It was emotional, but it felt quick. That's just my 2 cents.
Duke Kaboom, Canada's greatest stuntman. Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
He's posing.
Yeah, I guess that's the final conclusion here. I don't know how they could do a Toy Story 5. I doubt that they would, if they do. But I thought the same thing after Toy Story 3, but here we are. It still felt underwhelming compared to Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 felt so conclusive, like this is it. And to reopen this universe to tell an extra story, though a good one, still felt underwhelming. It feels more like DLC or something. It just, I don't know. I still, at the end of it all, I felt like it was lacking. Again, gorgeous, funny, great new characters they introduced. I thought the Combat Carls, they cracked me up. I had some laugh out loud moments in this movie. Forky, hilarious. There are some great characters they introduced and that they brought back. And in that way, it was a fantastic movie. But still, when you compare it to Toy Story 3, personally, I think it lacks. Was it worth it doing Toy Story 4? Financially, I'm sure Disney and Pixar are like, well, yes. Story-wise, okay, you can argue that at least gives Woody a conclusion where he can be his own toy. Okay, sure, fine. But I thought that if we were done at Toy Story 3 and that was it, I'd be like, that's perfect. I'm good. That is the conclusion I can live with. Farewell, Andy. Woody now belonged to Bonnie, and that's the end of Toy Story. I guess that's my final verdict. It's good, but not good enough to, I think, justify its existence. Still good though, and gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So moving forward for Pixar, like a big part of this decade, because you got like, oh gosh, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, Coco. There's only been a handful of original movies. The majority of movies from this decade for Pixar have been sequels or prequels, which is fine, I guess. I typically prefer original content, though Toy Story 3 is a sequel, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. So sequels aren't inherently bad. They just have a lot more to lose if done wrong. I thought Monsters University was fantastic. So but I say all of this to say that moving forward into the 2020s, the roaring 20s, Pixar has made it a point to do like, hey, we're doing original content. They have 2 original movies coming out next year. Onward, which is like Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, and it's like some fantasy world of elves, but it's a modern world. It's kind of a cool premise. And then you got something called Soul, which we don't know anything about except that Pete Docter's working on it, and that's the name of the movie. So, and I love Pete Docter. He's great storyteller and great at what he does. So we're in good hands. So yeah, the next decade should be very fascinating for Pixar. But yeah, I guess once again, Toy Story 4, is it worth seeing? Yes. Is it funny? Yes. Are the characters great? Absolutely. But was it a story that could be justified at the end of the day? I mean, you could fight for it, and there's some arguments for it that yes, you could. But again, I would have been just fine if it ended with Toy Story 3. Also, and I'll end on this, I remember reading about how Tom Hanks cried while recording, and there was like some headline about how it was one of the most emotional things he's ever recorded or worked on. I didn't really cry in this movie. There were moments where I felt emotional during farewells and emotional parts, but Toy Story 3, like I was straight up crying in my seat when I watched that. Here, I'm like, yeah, I can feel like maybe the tears behind my eyeballs, but nothing got out of them. AKA, I did not cry, but I thought about it. So yeah, those are my thoughts about Toy Story 4. Let me know what you all think. Again, this video, very off the cuff, and not really the kind of content that I do with writing scripts and researching. But again, I just wanted to get something out that's quick and to the point and something to fill in for this week. I'll be back next week with a review of something called Killer Bean, which is one of the weirdest things I've seen in quite some time, because this is a movie that is bizarre, but very good. That's kind of a weird combo. And then the week after that, I got a video essay about Pixar itself. And it's a bit of more of a controversial topic. Not saying I'm gonna like crap all over Pixar, because I obviously love the studio, but this is a topic about their past, and it's something I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. So I'm almost done doing my research, and I just want to compile my notes and make sure they're ironed out and make a video that can do justice for the topic. So, all right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.